Yes, sir.
Hello, good evening.
Okay.
Good
Can we
evening, sir.
start? Yeah, good evening. Can we start?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Any doubts? We just started with stratification. The concepts we have discussed. We talked about differences. We talked about inequality. We talked about stratification and the process of stratification also, which involves like 4 steps. Any doubts? And we have also discussed about the types of stratification system, open system and closed system. No doubts. So can we start the theories of stratification?
Yes, sir.
If you understood what is stratification, then we can move to theories of stratification. Okay. So see, if you see the syllabus, for us, what is important is functional theory and conflict theory, Weberian theory. So these are the theories that you need to know for exam point of view. Apart from that, there are many other theories also. Even before sociology also, there were some attempt to understand these social inequalities and social stratification. So what I'll do is, I'll give you a introduction in which I'll accommodate all the theoretical strands, like even before sociology too, the postmodern sociologist also, I'll try to give you a glimpse of that, theories. But all those is not required. In case, in a worst case scenario, if some question is asked, you should be having some content to write. So that is the only reason why I'm going to talk about all these theories, which are not part of your syllabus. In syllabus, what we need to study is functional theory, and basically one functional theory is what is important, Davis and Moore theory. Apart from that, I'll talk about one theory of Parson and one theory of Warner also. These are very small theories and very, very simple also. Then after functional theory, then we will be talking about the conflict theory, which we will be doing in Marx, not in this chapter. What I will do is, when I discuss about Marx, I will discuss about this theory. So we can combine these two rather than studying these two separately. Here you are studying theory of stratification by Marx, and in Marx, that thinkers chapter also you will be studying about the same. So rather than doing that repeatedly, what I will do is I'll discuss this theory when we discuss about Marx. Similarly, the third theory, that is Weberian theory, how I'm going to cover is, when we discuss about Weber in thinkers, we will cover that theory over there. So here in this chapter, although we need to study functional theory, conflict theory, and Weberian theory, what I'll do is I'll take only the functional theory. Okay. And then the rest of the two theories, Marxian theory, I will cover in Marx when we discuss about the next chapter, thinkers. And the Weberian theory, I will cover when we discuss about Weber in thinkers. Is that clear what I said?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So here,
Yes,
in this chapter, paper 1, you can expect some dynamic questions, and that's what I've told you. In a worst case scenario, you can expect some dynamic question. But generally, you see all the paper 1s, previous year papers, even the recent papers also, all are direct, and these are static. You have nothing to do with it. So whatever you're studying, you need to write exactly the same. You don't want to read anything apart from that. Okay, but in paper 2, it is obviously dynamic, and I'll tell you what to read, what not to read, and everything. Even I will mark it also in your textbooks. I'll tell you the important chapters that you need to read. You don't even want to read even the modernization of Indian tradition, you need to read, but few pages only you need to read. That I'll tell you. You don't want to put that effort when you're reading all these books. So paper 1 will not be that dynamic. Paper 1 will be so easy. Whatever we are studying, exactly the same. Functional theory of stratification means Davis and Moore is given a theory. Beyond that, nobody will ask you what is a theory of other person. No, that is not possible. Okay. Similarly, Marxian theory of stratification, which is there in the syllabus, means that is what expected. But in general, if some question is asked, what I'll do is I'll give you what happened with respect to social stratification, or what are the different attempts to study social stratification from Plato, Aristotle, those times to the postmodern thinkers, the recent times. But out of which, what we need to know as part of the syllabus, only functional theory, conflict theory, and Weberian theory. Okay. For example, when we talk about, I'll show you this evolution. There's actually an evolution. So we start with like Plato, Aristotle, etc. Plato, Aristotle, they consider the inequalities are natural in nature. Okay, so what we have discussed yesterday, we have discussed these are not natural, these are social, right? So, but these people in their writings, it is understood that it is natural in nature. People are born unequal. So Plato says people are born unequal. Some people are equipped with certain, talents, okay, advantages, like male can do this kinds of job because they are so masculine. Like that, people are different. People are born different. So inequalities are basically natural. This is the initial understanding, and we don't accept it. This is not important for us. I'm talking about the evolution, okay? And then comes two people, which is not at all important for us. We are not going to talk about them. Saint Thomas and Saint Augustine. So they have tried to understand these inequalities as socially created in terms of property, prestige, etc. So they have made a deviation from this understanding that social inequality, these inequalities are natural to inequalities are social. Then later, after this, even now we are not talking about sociologists. Okay, at this point of time, we are not talking about sociological understanding. Then later, we will talk about this in world history also. I'll also take world history after your prelims. So Locke, Bentham, okay, Rousseau, etc. They are talking about a combination of that. Like they are saying that it can be inherent. That means it may be naturally, it may be inherent. There may be differences. Some people are equipped with some skills, etc. Or it may be acquired. That means it is social, right? Inherent means you are born with some talents. Acquired means over a period of time you got some, you with education, with experience, etc. Or the combination of this two. So that is their approach. Their understanding is like it could be the inequalities could be either inherent, maybe you're born unequal, like you may have special talent, skills, etc. Or it could be acquired over a period of time, or it may be a combination of both. Inherent talent is also there, at the same time you acquired also. So this was the understandings, initially natural, then social, then combination. But when it comes to sociology, we will talk especially about Marx. Marx is talking about social inequalities as created by division of labor. Division of labor means there is an upper class, there is lower class everywhere. He talk about different societies. You don't want to worry about those different societies now, but let's talk about capitalist society where there will be workers and capitalists. So this division of labor is actually creating inequality. And according to him, the solution to this inequality is actually a communist society. So from here, actually, socially created notion is coming. And from here, this the sociological understanding is going to start from Marx. Okay, then we will talk about Weber. So we need to study this theory. We will be studying, okay, in detail. That's what I've told you. We will discuss in the chapter of thinkers. Then Weber is talking about a multi-dimensional understanding. He talk about inequalities not only in terms of class. When Marx is talking about inequality, he's only talking about class. He's only talking in terms of income. He's only talking about upper class, lower class. He's only talking about bourgeois, proletariat, okay, or the workers and capitalists. But when it comes to Weber, he talk about a multi-dimensional pattern of inequality. Like class is one dimension, there will be another dimension, status or power. So these are the three dimensions. And according to Weber, you have to understand inequalities like this. So this is class, this is status, this is power, and those who are coming in the middle, they are the most powerful people in the society. Like for example, the current Brahmins, if you take, okay, they have the status, but they may not be upper class, they may not be having business, or they may not have the power also. They may be, they may not be part of politics. Okay, like that. So one may be there, the other may not be there. Now, if you talk about some politicians, they might have the power, but they may be from lower caste background. They may not be good in, economic terms also, they may not be good. So they may stand here. They may stand here. So these are different levels of understanding. All these we will discuss in detail. I'm saying the evolution. So in the introduction, we are basically talking about evolution, just for giving you some idea about different theories of social stratification. But this is required for us. This is there in the syllabus. This is there in the syllabus. What we have discussed before is not there in the syllabus. Then we talk about theories by Parson. Now in this session, we'll be talking about this Parson, Davis and Moore. Okay, and then W.L. Warner. So these three theories we will do today. These are functional theories of stratification. Directly there in your syllabus. So according to them, the general understanding is if something exists in society is functional. That is what functional is perspective. So inequality is existing in society because it is inevitable and it is fulfilling certain functions, and that is what they are trying to achieve. They are trying to explain. So Davis and Moore, Parson, all will, because it helps in the functioning of that understanding today. Apart from that, then the postmodern understandings, they say more stratas, individual inequality is more. That values are actually coming down. Individual people and society is becoming too much individualistic. Okay, so at this point of time, individual inequalities is more. So there is no point in studying stratas. Stratas are diffusing. It is very difficult to find a pattern. Even if you talk about Brahmins, before I've told you, if you talk about Brahmins, they show some pattern, they show some commonality. But nowadays, that commonality is actually diffused. Okay, so that such properties that we have discussed yesterday, we can't see that now in the postmodern societies. So people are so much individualistic. People don't exhibit certain characteristics, etc. So it is not relevant, the study of stratification. Okay, at this point of time. So this is what you mean by evolution. Now what I'll do is I'll talk about the theories, functional theories. First is Parson. Parson, it's a very, very easy theory actually. See, what Parson says is every society, just understand, only 3 lines you need to understand here. You can reproduce exactly the same. Every society is based on consensus. Okay, every society is based on consensus. Like if you take between us, there are some consensus that I will do this and you will do this, and it depends. It is basically functioning on the basis of certain consensus. Okay, so society is based on consensus in terms of norms and values. Okay, so every society is based on consensus, which are in the form of certain norms and values. Now, what do you mean by norms? Norms are basically any problem with the screen? You can't see this?
Yes, sir, we can see.
So I can see this.
No problem, sir.
Okay, I got a message that you can't see. Mine, what is the problem? You have to check. Mine, what is the problem? Okay. So what we were discussing, we were talking about Parson. Parson. So he's saying society is based on consensus, and I hope you understood that every society is based on consensus. Consensus on the basis of certain norms and values. You know what is values. Now, what do you mean by norms? Norms are basically the expected behavior. Expected behavior from you, okay, or expected behavior from any member of the society. That is what you mean by norms. How norms and laws are different? If you violate norms, there is no punishment. Okay, and violation of norms is what you call as anomy or deviant. Okay, so violating norms, that means like it is not expected that you will wear a white sari if you are going for a wedding, right? So that is a norms. I hope you understood what I mean to say. It is not expected behavior, right? So law means if you violate it, there will be a punishment. So violating a law is like a criminal activity, but violating norms means it is deviant. It is not having any punishment, but you are not fulfilling the expectations of society. Okay, so like you respect the teachers, that's norms. If you don't respect it, it doesn't matter. But if it is a law, then there will be a punishment. If it is norms, then there won't be any punishment. So I hope you understood what you mean by norms. So society is actually based on consensus in terms of norms and values. Value, we know it is related to the desirability or undesirability. We have discussed that many times. So society is based on consensus, is based on norms and values, and everyone, try to conform to these norms and values. We all will try to conform to these norms and values. You will try to conform to what all expected behavior from a student. Okay, so everybody will try to conform their maximum to these norms and values. So you will all try to conform to these norms and values, and not only trying to conform to these norms and values, you will also try to evaluate yourself on the basis of the conformity towards these norms and values. So what I'm saying is, you will try to conform, okay, and also you will try to yourself evaluate yourself on the basis of conformity to these norms and values. And those people who are conforming to these norms and values in a better way will be rewarded. So if you are conforming to, if you are studying properly, if you are taking care of notes and everything, this is expected behavior. Okay, so if you conform to that, you will be rewarded. And this reward essentially create stratas in society, and that lead to stratification. So social stratification is basically, a system which provides reward to those people on the basis of their intent and ability. Okay, so it's a very simple theory. That's it. This is what you need to know. Society is based on consensus, and that is in terms of norms and values. And every of us will try to conform to these norms and values. And you will try to evaluate, not only you, even the society also evaluate you on the basis of your conformity to these norms and values, and you will be rewarded. Thus, there will be a stratification which is developed. Okay, so is this okay? This is very simple theory only. Any problem here? Difference between norms and values. See, norms are the expected behavior. Like I've told you, if you're going for a wedding, let's suppose you're a female and you're going for a wedding, you won't wear a white sari. Why? White sari indicate a different concept, right? So when you're going for a marriage, you won't wear a white sari. So that's actually a norm. Okay. Values means it is an idea that we carry in our mind, on the basis of which we decide the desirability, undesirability, preferability, rejection, etc. of a certain thing. Like patriarchal value we carry. Let's suppose we carry patriarchal value. Yesterday I have told you, we prefer a male child. Okay, there is a desirability towards a male child, preferability towards a male child, and we consider male child as superior. So that is what values are, ideas which we carry in our mind. Norms are the expected behavior from your side by the society. It is expected from you. How to evaluate means, I didn't understood, Ramesh. Even see, evaluation, okay, here evaluation, that you will try to evaluate yourself whether you're conforming to these norms and values. Like, are you studying properly and all those things. Okay, and there is no standard process of evaluation also. That is a criticism. We'll see that in the criticism part. How to judge the evaluation and how to conduct this evaluation, etc. These are criticisms. But this is what the theory. This is what you need to know. Very simple part. Parson theory. But this theory will not be asked as a question separately. They will ask you functional theories of stratification. In that, you need to add Parson also. But the question which can be asked separately is the next one, Davis and Moore. That is slightly a lengthy theory. But I am expecting. So those people who try to conform to the norms and values, let's suppose in the class itself, they will achieve a better position. So that will result into a stratification among the students itself. So they will be rewarded. Those who are trying to conform to the norms and values, they will be rewarded. Okay. So see, everything is based on consensus and norms and values. If you follow the norms and values, you will achieve those things. So that's why you try to conform to that, and then you achieve certain things. So you will be rewarded, and that results into a stratification. This is a very simple theory of stratification. We will have to see the next theory, which is slightly more complicated and which is more important. Is this okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So next is Davis and Moore theory. After this, I will explain the PDF. Davis and Moore theory is like this. Davis, two people, Davis and Moore. Okay. So this theory is actually in the book Principles of Social Stratification in 1942, and he made some propositions in that book. Okay, and that proposition is what we need to study here. And all these are logical. There is no need to have any doubts here. This is again a very simple theory, although it is slightly lengthy, but it's a very simple theory and very logical theory. The first proposition that he makes is society is made up of certain positions. Okay, so society is made up of certain positions. And second proposition that he makes is actually some of which, or in the first itself we can write here, society is made up of some positions, some of which are functionally more important than the others. Okay, some are functionally more important. Some are functionally more important. There is no doubt in this. Okay, so society is having certain positions. Some are functionally more important, like doctors, etc. Okay, so doctors, teachers, administrators, IAS officers, IPS officers. So different positions are there. So functionally, some are more important than the others. Right? So, a chief secretary position is more important than a collector position. A DGP position is more important than a superintendent of police, like that. Okay, and this functionally more important position have to be filled with talented people. That is essential. So people who have experience, people who have knowledge, then only that position can, it can work well. So the functionally more important position has to be filled with talented people, then only society will function. This is okay. Now, for achieving this talent, people will undergo training and sacrifices. Like now you can take your own example. So society is having certain positions. Some are functionally more important. Let's suppose civil service, IAS, IPS, etc. Right? And you are trying to become one among them. So only talented people are selected for these posts, right? So you will undergo for what? Training and sacrifices. You're attending the classes and you're sacrificing all other things. So people will undergo training and sacrifices. So social stratification is actually a mechanism which is ensuring rewards for those who undergo training and sacrifices, or social stratification is actually a mechanism which fulfills functionally more important position with the talented people. That's it. That's about the theory, but the theory is not complete. Those are initial propositions. Is this understood? This is very logical only. So society is made up of certain positions. Some are functionally more important, and more important position has to be filled with the talented people. And to achieve the talent, people have to undergo training and sacrifices. So social stratification is a fulfill the functionally more important position with the talented people. Any doubt here? This is the first set of propositions. Then some criticism will come, then he will clarify. So we need to write everything. So first, these are the proposition. Then Melvin Tumin, another thinker, he will criticize this. He will raise certain objections. So we will see what are the objections, and then we will see what are the answers given by Davies and Moore with respect to those objections. Then only the theory is complete. But this is the first part. I hope all of you understood this. If you have any doubt, you can discuss now. Any doubts here?
So what's the last point that you have told in this?
Last point is like what I'm saying is this much is there, this much is done. So those who are undergoing training and sacrifices, you will acquire talent. So you will be rewarded. So there will be a rewarding, and that will result into social stratification. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So basically, social stratification is a mechanism of distribution of rewards. In order to, it's a distribution of rewards. Why it is done? In order to fill the functionally more important position with the most talented people. So if you are tasked, see, okay, one more step that I want to tell you here is, here society is composed of position. Some are functionally more important, okay, and more rewards are attached to functionally more important positions to attract the talented people. If this position have this much benefits, then only you will undergo this training and sacrifice. Otherwise, will you go for all these things? Do you think you are only here for social service? No. Okay, because of the privileges, because of the benefits, because of the advantages, because of the rewards that you're getting. And if it is attached to these positions, that much rewards, that much benefits, etc., should be given to the more important position. Then only you can attract the talented people. Otherwise, you won't get the talented people which is required for that functionally important position. and you cannot fulfill that positions with anyone just like that, then society cannot function.
Sir, one question.
Yeah.
Sir, as you told, in this 5 steps, like I feel in case of, if we will consider IAS and IPS kind of positions, so first the fulfillment is happening, like people are getting recruited as IAS or IPS. After that, they are undergoing training processes, and they are doing some sort of sacrifices. So we can say after reward, the training and sacrifices are happening. Like first they are getting the positions, then only they are getting training, and they are doing some sort of
No. I'm not talking about that training. I'm talking about the training and sacrifices that you are undergoing now. You are not into IAS or IPS now. Are you undergoing a training and sacrifices now? You're
No.
sitting here for the classes. That's part of your training. And are you wasting your time? You should have done a lot of other activities during this time, no?
Okay.
So
Okay.
isn't it a training and sacrifice?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm talking about that. And then only you will be rewarded with that IAS, IPS. After that training, it's not training and sacrifice. It's actually enjoyment only. That's not a training.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So I hope this is clear for all of you.
Yes, sir.
Can we? Yeah. Okay. Now we will go for the criticism. So not criticism. Some objections are actually raised by this person, Melvin Tumin. Now these objections are genuine. Even you also feel the same objection. So I don't think you will face much difficulty here. The first objection is actually how to see. They are saying some positions are functionally more important. How to judge the relative importance of a position? That is the first question. Whether doctor is important or a teacher is important. Without a teacher, a doctor will never come. And without a doctor, a teacher will not survive also. So which position is important? How to judge that relative importance? And I'll tell you the answer for this. Davis and Moore will reply to it. He will say that it is not, it is difficult, but it is not impossible. And he will talk about a criteria to judge that. Okay. So how to judge the relative importance. I'm not writing. I'll talk in the PDF in detail. So how to judge the relative importance of a position? That is the first criticism. Then second criticism that he discussed is actually the rewards that we are giving. Rewards can be considered functional only if you are giving equal opportunity to all. If you are not giving equal opportunity to all, then it cannot be considered, right? Yesterday I've told you a person born for a lower class, even though we are talking about open system, mobility is there, avenues are there, all these things are there, still there are a lot of practical hindrances for that person to become an IAS officer. You are attending the classes, you are paying for that. Some other poor person, he may not be able to pay for that, and he may not get access to all those things. So it will be very difficult for those people to achieve that IAS IPS post. Okay, so that rewards can be considered functional only if you give equal opportunity to for all, like training, recruitment, and everything. For everything you should give equal opportunity. I hope you understood this point. Okay, and third point, it's not that big deal. Trainees won't undergo sacrifices, etc., apart from some spending of money, and most of the cases it will be done by the parents. So that's for just for criticizing. He made a criticism. Apart from that, he's also talking about some alternate motivational schemes. Alternate motivational scheme. But what is that alternate motivational scheme? He's not talking about. He's saying instead of rewards, you can give alternate motivational schemes. Just like that. Okay, that he's not saying. Then finally, what Melvin Tubin is saying, rather than integration of society, it actually creates divides in society, and it leads to dysfunctions in society because of stratification. So these are the criticism, out of which the most relevant is this one. Okay, how to judge the relative importance of position. Then this also may be relevant to an extent. Okay. Any doubts here? These are common points which might have came to your mind also. See here, if there is a division, this actually stratification means division. This creates hostility, distrust, etc. Hostility, distrust, etc. among the minds of people. Third point, what I said is earlier I've told you that what was the third point here? Yeah, to training sacrifices, right? With respect to that only I've told you training sacrifices. What I'm saying is, or what Melvin Tuman is saying is, generally people won't undergo training and sacrifices, except some suspended earnings during this time, like you are not working at this point of time, so you are sacrificing that. Maybe that is a maximum, or you may spend something for the training, and that maybe in most of the cases will be done by the parents. But that's not significant one. That's just for criticizing. He raised a point. That may be true, but that's not significant. But these two are very important, and maybe to an extent the last one also. It creates division in society, because among different stratas there will be a hostility and distrust. Okay. Okay. Now Davis and Moore, what he does, he'll try to clarify this by saying that the first question, he'll take the first question. What is that first question? How to judge the relative importance of a position, right? So what Davis and Moore saying is, it is difficult, but it is not impossible to judge the relative importance of a position. There are two criteria in which you can do that: by the degree to which the position is functionally unique. Okay, so if there is a dispute between two positions, like for example, if we talk about a teacher and an IAS officer, a teacher and a collector, so what do you think, which one is functionally more unique here? Which position is functionally more unique? Collector position or teacher's position? Collector, obviously, right? Because that is, you can see in a district only one collector, but thousands of teachers. So in that way, you can understand the relative importance of a position. Secondly, by the degree which other position are dependent upon the one in question. Okay, so if you're talking about teacher and IAS officer, others are depending more on which? The entire district is depending upon the collector, right? So these are the two methods in which you can actually understand the relative importance of a position if there is a dispute arise. If there is a dispute arise between collector and teacher, you may say that without a teacher, collector will not be there. You will not become collector or IAS officers if I'm not there. Is that true? No, there may be any number of teachers which are possible also, right? So we can't say that. So these are the two ways in which you can understand the relative importance of the one, if there is a dispute arise, by the degree to which the one is unique. So here in this case, I'm talking about IAS post that is unique. So here also, most of the people will be depending on the IAS officer. The entire district will be depending on this IAS IPS officer rather than a teacher. There can be n number of teachers in the district. You got it? Any doubt here? Okay. So now the second question was what that related to rewards, right? So rewards, what Melvin Tuman said is, rewards are considered functional only if you give equal opportunity to all. Otherwise, it is not functional, right? So here, what Davis and Moore saying is, rewards are essential and rewards are required. Otherwise, you cannot get the talented people. Okay, because most important positions requires talent, energy, skill, etc. And you cannot fill those positions with unskilled people. So rewards are essential. If you don't provide rewards, you won't get people. That is common sense. That is logical only. Okay, so these are the two main replies that is actually given by Davis and Moore. And then regarding alternative motivational scheme, what Davis and Moore clarified is, if you leave everything to society, then society will be in total disorder. Okay, and what is that alternative motivational scheme is not specified by Melvin Tuman also, and nobody know that. So if you leave everything just like that to the society, it will be like suicidal. It will be like total chaos in the society. It will affect the entire social order. And finally, although in some cases it will be dysfunctional, but it is universally present, right? That means it is functional, it is required, and it is inevitable. So that is about the last point. Here, last point is like it creates divides. So regarding that, he's saying There may be some instances where it creates a division in society, but still, since it is universally present, and in all known forms of society, one or the other forms of stratification was there. It means it is necessary, inevitable, and provides vital functions to the society. So it is required. So we have answered this, we have answered this, we have answered this, and we have answered this. What is the answer for this? That is exactly that 2 points. How to judge the relative importance? By the degree to which the one which is unique, and by the degree to which the other positions depend on the one in question. No doubt in that. Then rewards are necessary. Otherwise, people will not be motivated, because we don't want unskilled laborers here. Okay. If that is the case, then you can, even with less rewards also, you will be able to fill any post. Alternate motivation, that will create social disorder if it is not, if everything is left out to the society, and even though it creates divides, it is functional. So these are the answers given by Davis and Moore. With this theory is complete. And there are some criticisms, but these criticisms are generally basically raised by Melvin Tumin. This is considered part of the theory. Apart from this, general criticisms are there. Like this stratification is applicable only for open system. This is applicable only for class system, etc. That we will discuss when we discuss about the PDF. So any doubts here? Is this clear? Is that discussion clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so can we move to PDF now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, can you see this PDF?
Yes, sir.
Can you see? Okay, so we will start with this. Initially, we talk about that introductory paragraph, but I'm saying the first two pages of this is not important, not relevant. We are talking about Aristotle, Plato, Saint Thomas, Saint Augustine, Rousseau, Bentham, Locke, okay, Brute. All these people we will discuss. But after that, like Weber, Marx, then Davis and Moore, etc., is important for us. All these initial discussions is not important. In a worst case scenario, you should be having something to write. That's the only objective. We are actually talking about the evolution of theories of social stratification. Okay, over a period of time, different types of understanding was there on social stratification. But in our syllabus, only 3 is required: functional theory, conflict theory, and Weberian theory. Okay, keeping that in mind, I'm moving forward. So here it is often argued that some forms of inequalities are present in every society. Understanding the pattern of inequalities has been the concern of intellectuals since ancient times. Apart from the academic text, the socio-religious writings often contain views on these patterns. With the emergence of sociology as a distinct discipline, this subject came within the purview of sociological investigation. Ancient philosophers like Plato, Aristotle theorized about the patterns of inequalities. According to Plato, social inequalities exist in every society in terms of natural differences. So he's saying it is natural. That is, people are born unequal. Some people are naturally equipped for performing certain functions in society. Okay, for example, Plato envisioned 3 classes: guardians, auxiliaries, and workers. Just understand this one point. These are based on natural differences. Similarly, according to Aristotle, the inequalities are natural and there is a natural rank order among them. These theories thus consider the pattern of inequalities as natural, permanent, and inevitable. People are born unequal, and it is natural and it is inevitable. So that is the initial approach: natural, permanent, inevitable. Okay. Then, during Renaissance period, an alternative approach towards understanding the pattern started. Saint Thomas and Saint Augustine, for the first time, attempted to understand the hierarchical order in society in terms of power, property, and prestige. With this, an intellectual tradition favoring understanding of inequalities in social forms started, social terms started. Okay, apart from the naturalist explanation of inequality, a new school of thought emerged which favored the understanding of inequalities as socially created. So first group, like Plato and Aristotle, we have discussed about naturally created, it is permanent and inevitable. Now here, socially created. Okay. Later, philosophers like Locke, Bentham, Rousseau, Hegel were aware of emergence of the social classes based on combination, either the inherent differences or acquired differences or combination of both. Okay. Rousseau talked of social inequalities as created by a system of private property. Then comes Marx. This is important for us. Till now, what all things we have discussed, just for your understanding purpose, I've told you, we are talking about evolution, but this is important for us. Marx, we will study this in detail. Okay, entire chapter is for Marx only. So Marx further added a dimension of division of labor in the understanding of social inequality. According to him, social stratification or inequality emerged because of contradictions, and these contradictions generate okay. Social stratification or inequality emerge because of contradictions present in society, and these inequalities or contradictions generate conflict. Anything you can write here, both are fine. Contradictions would be better here. Contradictions, and these contradictions generate conflict. Contradictions means what? Between upper class and lower class. See, this because of division of labor, what we are saying is inequality emerged. Inequality means upper class, lower class, or workers, capitalist. Their interests are contradictory. That's what I mean by contradictions. And what is the interest? Workers want to work for less hours, and workers need more wages, better working condition, etc. Capitalists want to work, the capitalists want the worker to work more with less wages and may not be a very good working condition, etc. So the interest is contradictory, and because of that contradictory interest, that it will generate conflict. That's what we are talking about, that point. But we will see all these in detail when it comes to the theory. And he even conceptualized a society which is free from such inequalities and termed as communist society. Okay, so his concept of society we will discuss later in detail in this chapter. Now, after the middle of 19th century, sociological understanding of inequality started. Max Weber proposed a Trinitarian model, that's what I've discussed, with three important dimensions: class, status, and power, and emphasized on understanding the multidimensionality of pattern. The problem with Marxian understanding is a single-dimensional, mono-dimensional understanding. He's only talking about what? Class, upper class, lower class, worker, capitalist, haves, have-nots, right? So this is the idea of Marx. But when it comes to Weber, there is a multi-dimensionality of pattern in terms of class, status, power. Okay. In the first half of 20th century, a new set of theories favoring structural functional approach. Structural functional approach means, I'll talk about this in detail when we discuss about Durkheim. We already know what is functional approach. Seeing everything in a functional term. Structural functional approach means in a particular structure, it is functional. So if I'm talking about caste system, what is the structural functional approach of caste system? In a particular structure, in the Indian structural context, caste is functional. That's what. So we will add the structure to functionalism. That's what structural functional approach. Okay. It is similar to functional approach, but you see, can we use functional approach directly to caste system? No. We have to talk about the structure. Can we talk about European structure here when we talk about caste system? No. So structural functional approach is actually used to understand caste system, the functions of caste system. It is functional for this structure. Okay. So that's what structural functional approach means. And all these are supposed to be studied in the things. Structural functional approach towards understanding patterns of inequalities emerged in the writings of famous American sociologists Talcott Parsons, Davis and Moore, and W.L. Warner. According to this approach, inequalities were seen as fulfilling some vital functions in the proper organization of society. So society's organization, society's functioning, everything is because of this inequalities which is existing in society, which provide certain functions. That's why the inequality is there. During 1950s and 60s, attempts were made to combine Marxian and Weberian approach in the writings of Eric Olin Wright. We will see this later, but not in detail. These are not important for us. Wright further added new dimensions in understanding stratification by talking of contradictory class locations. And by the end of 1980s, the postmodern understanding of social stratification conceptualized a society in which stratas are diffusing. Nowadays, the stratas are diffusing. You can't see the patterns, and inequalities are confined to individual level or the group level. See, to an extent, individual level, or the maximum it can be group level, like the family level. You can see a pattern. Beyond that, you cannot see a pattern. If you are talking about Brahmins, not all Brahmins are now showing the same commonality or properties, right? So those situations have changed. Now that is not the scenario. At the individual level, inequality is visible. Between each and every people, inequality is there. Or the maximum you can see is the small group, like the family. Beyond that, you can't categorize. But this upper class, middle class, lower class is possible. But even when we talk about middle class, I've told you yesterday, you can talk about upper middle class, middle class, and lower middle class. So what is common here? Middle class is common. Within that, you can see divisions. This is what I mean by diffused. Earlier, in pattern means middle class should show the same characteristics, right? Now this is the situation. Or now it is more diffused, and you can see, you can take this one. You can take this one, middle class, and you see, you can make this middle class, middle class, middle class. You can add upper, middle, lower. So what you can see here, upper middle class, middle class, lower middle class. Like this, so much of diffuseness you can see in the current society. So when we are talking about pattern, here there should be a pattern in middle class, but that is entirely changed now. When we talk about this middle class, and when we talk about upper middle class, the idea has actually changed. That's the current understanding. So
I
they
have
are
a
talking
question,
about, there is no, yes. What?
sir, how you will characterize a middle class and in upper middle upper class?
Yeah, it all
What are
depends
the
on the
criteria?
lifestyle. It all depends on the
Criteria.
lifestyle. It is a minute classification. It all depends. See, middle class, within middle class, if you talk about upper middle class, middle class, lower middle class. So this group will have a better lifestyle than this group. Like that you can classify, and this will be the lowest among this category. So if this is a society, generally how will you classify upper class, middle class, and lower class? Exactly the same way. Like this society, you consider this as a group now. Within that, further classification you make. You understood?
Yes, sir. So there, it means there will be very minor differences.
Minute differences. That's what I'm talking about now. The inequalities are going to be, diffused. This is what the point. It is at the individual level inequalities. Minute differences will be visible now. Earlier, you can more or less almost all people are same. Now the differences are increasing. Day by day, the differences are increasing, and society is getting more and more complicated and individualistic.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Okay, now we will move to the theories of stratification. So first one is structural. This is very, very important for you. This, from here onwards, you need to know. Till now, what all things we have discussed, even if you didn't understood anything, and there is no chance, there is no point that you didn't understood. We have discussed everything. But even if you didn't understood anything from here, it will be even more easy, and you should be knowing it. Even if you cannot understand, you at least try to cut, copy, paste exactly the same thing. Okay. So here, structural functional theory. Structural functional theory of social stratification are based on the assumption that it fulfills certain vital functions in the context of structure and is both inevitable and necessary. Okay, so it fulfills certain vital functions. Importance of stratification is emphasized on account of existence of this in all societies. Every society stratification is there. So you can see the importance, you can understand the importance in that context. Talcott Parson formulated an initial theory of stratification, which is considered as very simple and broad, and more detailed theories of stratification is found in the writings of Davies and Moore and W.L. Warner. Okay, now Parson's theory. According to Talcott Parson, what we have said, we have talked about Parson, we said it is based on consensus and which is based on norms and values, and people try to conform to this, and people try to evaluate their conformity to these norms and values. Okay, so people try to evaluate themselves in the dimension of conformity to these norms and values and will be rewarded. So that's what exactly written over here also. You can cut, copy, paste exactly the same thing. Nothing more is required, because this will not be asked as a separate question. You can never see in previous papers, and in future also you will not see this as a separate question. So it will be asked, or you will be writing this along with functional theory. So this is enough. Okay. So according to Talcott Parson, every society is based on consensus in terms of norms and values. I've underlined, I've bolden it, all these important things. The conformity to these norms and values is considered desirable and is often rewarded. So it is considered desirable and it will be rewarded. And people tend to evaluate themselves in terms of their ability to conform to these norms and values. Okay. Thus, social stratification is a mechanism of ensuring people that they have been given a particular position as per their intent and ability. Okay, so they have been given as per their intent and ability. If you follow the norms and values, if you fulfill that, you will be given certain position. That's what stratification according to Parson. It's a very simple theory. But the most important theory of stratification is this. This theory is formulated in the famous book titled Some Principles of Social Stratification. You need to be writing these book names and all when you're writing the answer. Okay, and if you can write the year, it is also desirable. Okay, all these are value additions. In terms of number of propositions, explaining systematically the differential distribution of rewards in society. According to them, different distribution of rewards is a reflection of stratified society and helps in perpetuating it. Yesterday, I have told you when we discussed about the 4 steps, the last step that we have discussed was rewarding. And I've told you this rewarding is actually helping in the continuation of this stratification, right? Exactly the same as what discussed here. According to them, different distribution of rewards is a reflection that in itself is showing a stratification in the society, and also that help in continuation of it. Because of rewards only, you are trying to do this. Otherwise, you won't try to sit here and you won't work hard for achieving this thing, right? So that helps in perpetuating it. So these are the propositions. Society is made up of different positions, some of which are functionally more important than the others. These positions develop a view of stratified society. So different positions there means that is a stratified society, obviously. That's why I've told you no society can be egalitarian, because every society there has to be different roles. And if today you are claiming that every role is equal, tomorrow individuals themselves will start evaluating the roles they are performing. And day after tomorrow, this will be done at the cultural level. And then it will be formalized and institutionalized. Some roles are superior over the other. So it will never exist that egalitarian society. Okay. High rewards are attached to the positions of great importance in order to attract the talented people needed for such position. Important positions require skill and training, and those who undertake this training make certain sacrifices, therefore have to be compensated by the way of more rewards. For example, if you are studying hard, if you are sacrificing everything, you must be compensated one way or the other, either in terms of IAS, IPS, or in any way you should be compensated. That's what I mean by this. Social stratification is a mechanism of distribution of rewards in order to fill functionally more important positions with talented people. Okay, so thus stratified positions which are witnessed in every society are important for the proper organization of society. Moreover, there is no society which is based on unstratified social position. There is no society which is based on egalitarian concept. Okay, so in reaction to this, now we will talk about Melvin Flumin. He raised certain objections. First one, how to judge the relative importance of a position. Okay, it involves value preference. Like I've told you, it involves value preference. Like what I've told you, that some people will consider teacher's position as superior. Some people will consider doctor as superior. So how to judge this? Okay, rewards can be considered functional only if society provides equal opportunity to all. I hope you understood. That means training, recruitment, for everything, everybody should be getting equal opportunity. Everybody should be getting basic education. So basically, what is the logic for this elementary education, the Right to Education Act and everything? This is actually the logic, trying to give equal opportunity for everyone. But even then, is it possible? No. Okay. So there is no effective method for measuring talent of people. Yes. See, for example, when we are talking about this UPSC exam, there is one way they are trying to measure the talent, but is it the correct way to measure the talent which is required for that post? Not necessarily. Okay. So again, CAT exam, if you talk about, there is a different pattern of exam. Is it the right way to measure the talent? Again, not necessarily. So again, there is a value preference there. So that is also a problem. If you want to get the talented people, what is the exact measure of measuring the talent? That is a question. And trainees do not make any sacrifices except suspended earnings during training period. And generally the cost of training is taken care by the parents. There can be alternative motivational schemes instead of differential rewards. And then the last point, social stratification actually hinders the process of integration of society by generating hostility, distrust between privileged and underprivileged. Okay. Now, Davis and Moore further clarified their theory of social stratification in the light of objections raised by Turing. The further arguments given by Davis and Moore are, it is difficult but not impossible. Okay, it is difficult but not impossible to judge the relative or functional importance of a position. A particular position can be evaluated using two criteria: by the degree to which the position is functionally unique. I don't think that any explanation is required now. I'm just reading it out. By the degree to which other positions are dependent upon the one in question. And then rewards are necessary to motivate people to undergo training, as it involves time, energy, and money, which is not required for again, you're asking about, I have compared teachers and IAS officers in case of judging the relative importance. So you're asking, in this case, it is easy to say that IAS officer is superior. So if teacher and a doctor is coming, then who is superior? I can't tell at this point of time because it all depends on which one is more unique here. I would say doctor is more unique. More than teachers, I think less doctors are available. Anybody, even I can be a teacher. I'm not a professional teacher. I'm an accidental teacher, but I can never be an accidental doctor. Understood? So I think doctor's position is more unique, in my opinion, in that context. Otherwise, also doctor's position is more unique. Anyone can be a teacher, but anyone cannot be a doctor. Pranjali, is that clear? Okay. So rewards are necessary to motivate people to undergo training. Okay, that we have discussed. And regarding alternative motivational schemes, Davis argued that modern society cannot function if people were left to do whatever they wish. It will create imbalance in society. We have discussed this regarding alternative motivational schemes. So basically, point to point, he's clarifying. And then last point, social stratification may be dysfunctional in certain aspects, but the fact that it is universally present shows that it must be fulfilling certain functions and is an inevitable social reality. That's about the theory. Now, if the question is about critical analysis of this theory, you need to write the criticism also. So here comes the criticism. So we will move to the criticism. Although this theory has been acknowledged as a valid sociological theory of stratification, still it suffers from a number of logical errors. These include, the theory is more suitable for understanding class stratification. Other forms of social inequalities cannot be explained with this theory, right? Because we are talking about positions that is related to class only. For example, gender stratification is not based on functional importance of position. Rather, the gender inequalities are imposed by culture. Similarly, race and ethnicity, all these cannot be explained by using this theory. That is actually a limitation. And we have discussed all these stratification. If you see the previous notes, we have talked about class stratification. This is only one dimension of stratification. So this theory can explain only class stratification. That is a limitation of this theory. Okay. This theory applies more on open stratification system. Open means it is similar to this point only. And the rigidity of caste system cannot be explained with the help of this theory. Yes. This theory is based on unrealistic assumption of equal opportunities, which is given to all, whereas in reality, a number of factors like parental background, infrastructure, culture, etc. hinders equality of opportunity. This we have discussed already. A lower class person, son of lower class, the kind of education, the access to education, the access to healthcare, the access to every benefit he's getting and the son of upper class who's getting will be entirely different. So the chances that this person will be filled in the most important position or getting rewarded will be more than this, even though you're talking about equal opportunities. But in practice, that is not possible. Okay. Davis and Moore theory cannot justify inherent exploitation generated by distribution of rewards. Okay, here what is the point is he is talking about rewards. Okay, but you know what Marx says is, or Marxist says is, the distribution of rewards are controlled and managed by the dominant classes to satisfy their own interest. Thus, stratification is not fulfilling the interest of society, rather it satisfies the interest of you. So it is all created by capitalists and all for the capitalist. That is according to Marx. Okay, this view also has been supported by the elite self-recruitment theory. This theory we will study in the chapter Politics and Society. You will understand. Elite self-recruitment is, you can see the son of IAS becoming IAS. Okay, like that son of doctor, mostly doctors. That's what elite self-recruitment theory. We will discuss that in detail. Okay. This theory is little relevant in postmodern society as the strata-based inequalities seem disappearing. Postmodernists claim that the existence of individualized inequalities rather than already discussed when we discussed about postmodernists. We have exactly. There's a very simple theory. I'll just read it out and I'll explain. What he's saying is, Warner in his famous book Yankee City, while reporting social classes based on status or lifestyle in few American communities, developed a different justification for existence of social stratification. According to him, various social stratas are generally separated into relatively distinct segments that have more or less a balanced integrated culture. Like this, it is like compartmentalized. Okay, so here one particular culture, here there will be a different particular culture. So it is actually and each will be integrated in terms of a common culture. Thus, these strata ensure cultural stability. This is the most important function according to Warner. Cultural stability in society by compartmentalizing people on the basis of different culture. And this reduces the chances of intergroup conflict. So stratification, ensuring cultural stability and reduces the intergroup conflict. Okay, so that is actually the function of stratification according to W.L. Warner. That's it. That's about W.L. Warner. It's again a very simple theory. So Warner theory and Parson theory will not be asked as a separate question. So Warner and Parson will not be asked as a separate question. That will be part of functional theory. So if the question is about explain functional theories of social stratification, you will write about Parson, Warner, and Davis and Moore. If the question is specific to Davis and Moore, you will only talk about Davis and Moore, and then Melvin Tumin, then the clarification, then the criticisms that we have discussed. Or sometimes they will ask you, what are the functional theories of stratification and how Marxists reacted to it. In that context, you need to write all the functional theories, these three, and you need to also incorporate Marxian theories also. Okay, so that is how you should be writing that. I hope this is clear. Any doubts here? You can ask me now. But tomorrow we can take a break. Warner says Warner says people are separated, people are compartmentalized in terms of similar culture. Every stratas you can see similar culture, and that is actually helping in maintenance of the culture. So that ensures cultural stability and that prevent intergroup conflict. You will only interact with your own strata and your own people, so that actually prevents that intergroup conflict. Warner theory. Simple. It is basically to maintain cultural stability. People are living in compartments. People are compartmentalized in terms of different cultures, so that you can ensure cultural stability, and that prevents intergroup conflict, and which is also required for the society. Very simple theory. Parson and Warner, you won't get separate question. It will be asked as part of, it will not be asked also. When the question is on functional theories of stratification, you need to write that.
Hi, sir.
Yes.
So according to Warner, so within the same strata, there are different segments.
What?
In Warner, it's written, according to him, various social strata are generally separated into relatively distinct segments. Means
yes.
Each strata is differentiated into various segments. Is that it?
Like middle class, upper class, lower class, like that, different segments.
Okay, just I'm not able to interpret this line. The second para, first line.
What is that
No.
line? I lost that PDF now from my screen. Can you tell me? Can you repeat that line?
Yeah, sure. According to him, various social stratas are generally separated into relatively distinct segments that have more or less balanced and integrated culture.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. People are separated into different, like it's a kind of compartmentalization which is done. And like in terms of trains, like there will be a AC3 tier, AC2 tier, and first class, right? So different types of people will go over there if you have enough financial setup, and then you will go for first class, like that. So people are compartmentalized on the basis of a culture. So that will actually help in the, like, middle class having certain culture, upper class having certain culture, and lower class also having certain culture. So based on that also you can see a compartmentalization in society, within society. We keep on interacting more with our own class, our own that particular compartment.
Okay, sir.
So that prevent, and you will less interact with the others. So that prevent the intergroup conflict.
Okay, sir. Sure. Thank you.
Yeah. Mm. Yeah, Ashwin,
Hello.
what you said is okay.
Hello.
Yeah.
So one question, as you said that norms are certain what I will say behaviors which society expects from us, right? So
Yes, yes.
what is so I found it is quite similar with the ethics. So is there any difference between ethics and norms?
No, at this point of time, that discussion is not required. I'll discuss that ethics, morality, norms, etc. We will discuss. Ethics is having a lot of things to do, not only norms. Norms is just part of ethics. Norms, as of now, you just understand it is an unexpected behavior can also be a part of ethics. Depends on the situation. That we will do later. What is your
Okay,
name?
it's Rahul. I joined through cell phone.
Rahul. Okay. Yeah. Ethics is a broad concept that we will discuss. In fact, I'll take class on ethics also later after your prelims. We will discuss that later. Ethics have much more to do with it.
Okay, no, I was just listening all your sentences, so suddenly that came to my mind. So I hold that question at the end. So thought of asking. Okay, no issues.
Sometimes deviating from norms is also considered as ethics. Sometimes depends on situations.
Okay.
Okay. What else? Any other doubts? So these theories are easy, no? Functional theory is easy. Marx will be even more easier. Don't worry about it. Exactly opposite will be Marx. Okay. So can we stop here? And tomorrow, can we take a break tomorrow?
Sure, sir.
Yeah, it's been long, no? So we
Yeah.
took a break from last couple of weeks. So tomorrow we'll take a break, and we will continue from Monday.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So I'm stopping here. See you guys. Bye.
Bye, sir.
Bye, sir.
Yeah. Bye. See you. Bye. So that's about the session. I hope you understood everything that we have discussed today. If you have any doubt in any of the videos that we have discussed so far, you can get in touch with me here. That's my Instagram ID. Okay. Or you can join the Telegram channel. You will get all my videos over there. Everything is there. Or you can see here, this is a Telegram channel, or this is the Instagram ID. These two are my Facebook page. You can get in touch with me in any of this. If you want to learn economy with me or history with me or general studies, any subjects, you can, if you need regular classes, you can get in touch with me, or the online classes are available with Study IQ. You will get all those classes. Still, you will get my YouTube videos in this Telegram channel. Okay. So I hope you understood everything that we have discussed. So see you guys. Thank you.